In this lesson, we're going to learn more about graphics programming with the JaviPen. So I'm going to go ahead and open my JaviSchool project here. And I have an empty project. And the first thing I'm going to do is go to the JaviSchool, and I'm going to click on Learning Pen Graphics Part 2. And I'm going to go ahead and run this documentation file as a separate application and shrink it and put it over to the right here so we can use that, refer to it as we work. And I'll close this and I'll go back to the home page. And the first thing I want to do, as we've done in all of our previous lessons, is simply create a new starter file. So I'll say create a new starter file, and I'll call this pentest2. And so just like before, we get our starter file with a main method and a print. So what we want to do this time, though, we're going to learn about the drawing coordinates and the coordinate system drawing methods of JaviPen. So the first thing I want to do is see what a coordinate system looks like. So I'll delete this line of code, and I want to tell the console to turn on the coordinate grid. So I'll just say set show chords, and I want to set the parameter to be true. So I'll save this and I'll go ahead and run. And so our program, all it does is it draws the coordinate system. And we see that all the way to the right in the upper right hand corner it's 700 across and it's 0 down, whereas in the bottom left hand corner it's 0 across and 470 down. And then as we move the mouse around, we actually see where individual coordinates are. So the middle looks like about 330 by 225. Alright, so that will form the basis of most of our drawing in this lesson. So in this lesson, we want to expand a little bit. Instead of putting everything in the main method, we want to create a custom drawing method. And this is good to make our code more readable and easier to modify and reuse code. So what I want to do here is create a new method, and I'll just say draw something. And I'm just going to call this draw it. And as a parameter, I want it to take a pen. So I'll say it takes a JaviPen. And the only thing I'll do for starters is just say pen move. Now in my main method, I want to get the console pen and call draw it. So the console pen is the JaviPen, and so I'll say pen is equal to get pen. So I created a variable and I assigned it to the get pen value, and then I'll just say draw it, and I'll pass the pen value in there. So I'll go ahead and save this and run, and so we have a simple program that we had from last time. It's just getting the pen and it's calling that draw method that draws the line here. So what we really want to learn this time, though, is drawing using the coordinate drawing methods. And so these methods, instead of move and turn, it's move to and line to. And these two methods take a coordinate position, so it's not as tedious. We can simply select exactly where we want the pen to go, and move to will move the pen without drawing, whereas line to will draw the line to the coordinates, we x and y that we pass in. And as before, we can chain these calls together. And then finally, there's a close method that conveniently just goes to the last move to. And you'll see how that makes drawing a little more convenient. But for instance, if we wanted to draw a house like we did last time, we might start out by drawing the base of the house. And I'll say pen move to. And I'll just move it a little bit over in the upper right hand corner, and then I'll go to the right a little bit. So instead of 100 across, I'll go 300 across, but still only 100 down. And then I'll tell the pen to line down to the bottom right hand corner, which would be 300 across and 300 down. And then I want to line to the bottom left hand corner, which is again only 100 across and 300 down. And then finally, I want to close back to the original move to. So I'll save this and run, and we get our box. So then similarly, now we want to draw a roof. And so we're going to want that pen to go over here to about 200 across and 20 down. And then we want it to go back down again to 300 across and 100 down. So we'll put in a comment here. It says draw roof of house. And we'll say pen line 2. And first we wanted to go 200 across and 20 down. And then we wanted to say line 2, 300 across and 100 down. So now we have our whole house. So it draws the base of the house, then it draws the roof. Okay, so from here we can draw pretty much anything we can sketch out. We can just use these move to and line tos to draw our simple picture. So what might be fun though is to create a little console-based drawing program. And drawing programs are some of the most common types of application. A Mech Draw or Mech Paint or Adobe Illustrator. All these programs are at heart just simple draw programs. So we can create a simple draw program simply by asking the user for some coordinates to draw to. So let's go ahead and clear this draw method. And we'll say ask for coordinates and draw line. So we'll go ahead and declare a variable x, integer x, and remember integers are just numbers, but they're whole numbers. So it's the simplest kind of Java number. And we want to ask the console to get an input int, and we wanted to tell the user to enter an x coordinate. And then we'll do the same thing for a y, get input int, we'll say enter a y coord, and then we'll just simply say pen line 2 x comma y. And so we might actually, well, we'll go ahead and just run this. And so we can move our mouse over here and choose a point. So how about 460 across and 280 down? So we do that, and the pen draws right over there to our cursor. So, so now we have a simple draw program. If we wanted to, we could tell the user to, or we could do this 100 times, so the user could enter in multiple values. So we'll say for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 100, and we'll increment I by 1, I plus plus. And I'll say that. And so basically this for loop, it's jumping a bit ahead, but this for loop simply tells us to call this method 100 times. So I'll go ahead and say run. And so now we can choose a value like 280 by 140, and it'll draw to that point. And we can choose another value over here, like 300 by 362, and it'll draw there. So now we can draw and draw and draw. So, so it's fun to ask the user for coordinates, but what is also fun is asking the computer to choose some coordinates instead of the user. So this involves random numbers, and this is one of the most fundamental talents of a computer, is the ability to produce any number in a given range. So it's like asking somebody to pick a number between 1 and 10. And so just like in real games where you have a roll of a dice or a shuffled deck, getting a random value is very intrinsic to a lot of computer games, for instance. So what we can do here, instead of asking the user, we can ask the computer, and we do this with the getRandom method. So I'll say getRandom, and I can go ahead and type in a constant. So this would return a random number from 0 to 600. And then we could do the same thing here. I'll just copy and paste and get a y value from 0 to 600. So, and here we've hard-coded this, but what would be really useful is to be able to ask the console to make sure the lines go only within the width and the height of the console. And it turns out we can simply ask the console for its width. So I'll say get width for the x value, and then I want a random value of the height for the y value. and we're still calling this method 100 times. So it's going to get 2 values and draw the line, and then get 2 more values and draw the line, and it's going to do that 100 times. So I'll run, and so now we can just sit back and see what the computer wants to draw for us. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. And then finally, it turns out that we can not only just set the random values for it to draw, but we can also set the color to random, and we can set the pen width to random. So let's go ahead and do that. It'd be kind of fun. Set pen color and stroke width at random. So I'll say pen set color to random, and then I'll say pen set width, and I want it to be at least 5, so I'll go ahead and say 5 plus get random of a number between 1 and 25. So really it'll be a number between 5 and 30. But let's go ahead and see what this looks like now. So now we're getting a crazy drawing with all kinds of different colors and all different locations, and it'll keep drawing this for up to 100 lines. So this is our lesson. I guess as a final thing, I might want to say, instead of just one pen, I might want to get multiple pens going. So I might say for int j is equal to 0 and j is less than 5, and I'll increment j, and this time instead of just drawing the default console pen, I'm going to say get the pen at index j, and this is actually going to get 5 different pens drawing at the same time 100 times each. So we'll go ahead and hit run, and so this is our closing example of drawing everywhere in multiple pens in multiple colors. And this is the end of the lesson.